Okay, so I stopped my first video because I needed to just regroup for a second. I'm gonna go ahead and finish some of my story now. After court, I told this man, because we got joint legal custody with him as a domicile. Again, he has a history of domestic violence, which apparently is not in the system. I do have copies of his divorce records and custody case records from a previous marriage that states that a permanent injunction is in place, and that him seeing his two boys was not in the best interest of the children, that his mother and a family friend had conspired this calendar of some sort to show that he had the children more than the mother, and that the judge didn't find that to be substantial or credible. Anyway, so the judge gives him domicile custody of my daughter, and I told him that, you know, he couldn't alienate her from me, that we had joint custody, and that I was gonna seek justice through the court system, or whatever right way possible for me to keep pushing to be in my daughter's life, to have my daughter home where she should be. She's 4, she's a little girl, she should be with her mom. I'm a good mother. He accuses me of being a lot of things, but anybody that knows me knows that my children come first. I'm not perfect, we all make mistakes. Back to the story though. At this point, he got upset and he told me, well, I'm gonna take you out altogether. And I have the screenshots of those messages and saved the messages themselves, so I can show anybody that he definitely threatened to take me out altogether. And he said with 200 screenshots of my Facebook page, he would do that. And the reason why is because I was standing up for myself, and I was calling out the injustice that was going on in my situation, and the fact that I wasn't gonna just lay down and take it. And that's what they want you to do. They want you to lay down and they want you to take it. They want you to play their game, and the game's not rigged for you. It's rigged for them. They will win. That's not right. I told him at this point that either he was stalking me or the flying monkeys were doing their job. And the next day, I had the cops come to my aunt's house, where me and my children were, you know, forced to stay after losing everything in Oklahoma. Apparently a detective, mind you, has a cousin in the same unit that's a detective. He had signed an affidavit swearing that I was cyber stalking this man. He did not call me. He did not ask me any questions. And while I was in Oklahoma, apparently they were searching for me, and this detective went from house to house. A friend of mine and family member pulled over my mom and my aunt more than once. I'm not gonna say multiple times, but it was in between, you know, 1 to 3 times, I believe, looking for me and my children. I reached out to him when I got back to Louisiana and told him that maybe he had been manipulated, maybe he should hear my side of the story. This man never contacted me back. He does not care, and that shows it. He did what they do. And I understand that they have a loyalty to each other, but when it's wrong and you control someone's life, it's wrong, period. You shouldn't do it. You should be held accountable for your actions. So during this time, I just want to say thank you to the one officer, because he did try to have me arrested 4 times, but the 3rd time the officer came to me and he listened. He did not arrest me. His name is James Collins. I do not remember any other officer's name that arrested me or that I've dealt with in this situation, besides his family members and people that are associated with him. That man stuck out, and there's a reason why. He did what was right. He understood that this was something that people get upset over, and that it wasn't coming from just me. He listened. I want to say thank you to him. Now, the irony of that is that the cyber stalking affidavit that was signed by Detective Norsworthy was executed, the warrant, which, by the way, nobody, not the judge or him, know how the warrant came about. But he actually came with another officer to arrest me for cyber stalking. Don't hold it against these men. I understand that there are very good police officers. I have come into contact with quite a few. There was a sergeant in Macedon, New York, where I lived. I'd moved to Macedon for my 3 boys to be around their father. He's from Fairport, New York, and he was very great. He came to my house one night, and I'd called them because at the time I did not have a vehicle, and my oldest son had threw a toy car and broke the tooth of my middle son, and it was a heavy one of them shaky cars that vibrate, and he threw it off the top bunk. Well, it made contact. I didn't have a way to go to the hospital. I called the police station. They were right down the road. This man came, and by that time we had gotten the bleeding to stop, and we had seen really how bad it was. It wasn't severe enough to go to the emergency room. So, and I'm sorry about the helicopters. I'm by the hospital because I'm waiting for my mom to come out of the hospital. So it's kind of noisy. I'm very sorry. I'm just gonna go ahead and stop, and I'll pick it up in a second.